We're going to start on page 43. Down at the third paragraph there. Now that we've, well, I'm going to go to the main camera here and the text. Aren't you going to go for me now? Yeah, it's frozen. Let's see if I can get it to. No,
We're going to categorize raisins, huh?
There we go. Okay. And I need to go up a little bit. There we go. That's okay. Now that we've discovered and categorized the reasons, we need to assess them for levels of importance. Any reason that is a direct validation of the conclusion must, of course, top the list of importance. Next would be inferential reasons, and last on the list would be the arguments that are valid steps in the progression through the presentation to the conclusion. So, list your reasons like this. The first one would be direct validation. If it directly validates the conclusion they want you to draw, put that at the top of the list. Then inferential validation, and I think we mentioned these last week. Inferential validation just means that they don't directly validate the conclusion, but they're heading in that direction. And then steps in the progression, possibly subpoints under reasons from categories 1 and 2, are connecting points between two direct or inferential reasons or necessary explanations of them. So they're just kind of connecting meat between the points. You're smiling over there, Daniel.
I just started thinking about the scripture.
Oh.
My much learning hath made me
mad. Now, what does that have to do with critical thinking? Okay, let's go down a little bit.
That's what we're mad about.
Yeah. Next, arrange the reasons in the order presented by the author. In this portion of the process, the reasons in category 3 will probably be dispersed under or between the reasons in categories 1 and 2. And then here's a long section here. Once you have discerned, assessed, categorized, and then rearranged the reasons in the original order presented by the author, go through the reasons to see if they are convincing and do indeed lead to the conclusion given by the author. In other words, think about your thinking while you're thinking, and think about what the person's saying. That's one of the problems that in the United States today is we automatically know what we believe. And if someone presents something different, we want to just, oh no, that's wrong. But yeah, when they come along, they're going to give you good reasons why they believe what they're saying. Now, there's always flim-flammers, con men, but most people have a reason why they believe what they're saying. And if we don't know why they believe it, how are we going to refute it? If they can't bury us in their baloney, they're going to bury someone else in our churches. People in our Sunday school classes, people that attend our church. When these missionaries come along and knock on the door, man, they're taught to take our King James Bible and prove they're right and we're wrong. And if we don't know what they're doing, if we don't know our Bible, we don't know what they're doing.
I was just going to say, you brought it up last week. Study to show yourself approved unto God.
Yeah, study to show. That's why it is the text, biblical text for the college. Study at the bottom of every letter. I'm going to just put this. Oh, I don't want to go there. I want to go to the main camera. Now, why is that main camera doing that? Boy, I'll tell you, it really got moved over there to the side. So. text here. Here we go. If they are convincing and they proceed in a logical fashion, step by step to the conclusion, keep them. If not, discard them. And you will probably discard the entire presentation as well, deeming it to be unconvincing and disjointed. Without valid reasons given in a logical procession from intro to conclusion, there is no logical reason to accept the premise presented as being the valid one. If it doesn't lead you there, if I've got a map and it tells me turn left and go 15 miles, and go along, and I'm going to get to Ogden, but I wind up in Logan, well, I'm going to throw that map out. I don't care if it says go 15 miles on this road and 10 miles on that road, and it seems to be good reasons why I'm going to get to Ogden, but then when I follow the map and I wind up in Logan, there's something wrong with that map. You can't get there from here. Yeah. So I'm going to throw it out. Page 44. Okay. Reasons. List them. This is what you're supposed to do. Discern the reasons, not their statements. Not their statements. Their reasons, their proofs. Assess the reasons. Are they really proofs? Are they really going in the direction he wants us to go to that conclusion? Or are they really statements that he made in a way that there appear to be reasons? So discern the reasons. What really are they? Assess them. Main, direct, or inferential, or whatever it might be. Then categorize the reasons. Arrange the reasons in the order given in the original presentation. If that presentation is, here's reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, reason 4, reason 5, put them in that order that the author put them in, and then go through them. Then weigh them for validity and logical procession. If he writes, and I'm going to have to write a little bit on here, on the board. Now I can't do it with that pen.
Sounds like how I put together a sermon.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how. And as I said, I think last week, I don't go to a commentary until after I've written my sermon. And I love some of the commentators, some Matthew Henry. But you know what? I don't agree with everything Matthew Henry said. I've got on my e-sword, I've got Matthew Henry and 2 or 3 others.
Gil.
Huh?
Gil.
I don't think I've got Gil.
You need to get Gil.
Huh?
You need to get Gil.
Yeah, I don't think I've got that. But I'll do that after I write my sermon. Or if there's a particular thing I'm going, I can't quite get this. Can't quite get my teeth into that.
Barnes.
Barnes, I've got Barnes. And I've got some of the more liberal ones too, because I like to see the difference in, two different ones can have some absolutely far apart opinions, because that's all a commentary is their opinion on what that says.
Book of opinions.
Yeah, it's the book of opinions. All right, let's go down a little more. Okay, that's the reasons. We finished that. Page 44, inference, not interference. I put interference there just so you remember. Reasons and interference. Reasons and inference. Do the reasons given establish the conclusion, given the alternatives? Always consider the validity of the conclusion, judging it one way or the other according to the reasons given by the presenter. However, there may be other equally valid conclusions that could be drawn from the reasons given. So, I'm not going to try to erase that because it doesn't work. Okay? One thing in the counseling class, don't let someone have 2 counselors. That's why the one person I was talking about, eventually I'm going to turn him over to RU totally. Because the reason is, and I'm going to go to the main cam. Oh, I can't go to the main cam. And go down a little bit. Situation. Pay close attention to the situation. How does the situation affect the matter at hand? Does it slant it in one direction or another? Could it do so? If it did, what could the effects be on the conclusion or the other parts of the process, which are focus, reasons, inference, clarity, overview, or the conclusion? Does the situation show that there is an agenda which is being pursued? Does it reflect positively or negatively on the veracity of the presenter of the argument? If so, how does or would it cast doubt on the whole argument or some portions of it, maybe critically so? In other words, bad enough to kill it. That previous one that I gave about the fictitious presentation or imaginary, where he said we're going to study tongues in the Bible. But really what he was trying to prove was tongue speakers are heretics, that the charismatics are from the devil, and that's really what he was trying to prove. What would the situation be that could affect that one way or another? Who's writing that thing? Who's writing it? Is it an independent Baptist? Okay. Find out something about the author and find out that maybe that author is a pastor of a church and he's a dictator to start with. Is that going to shade the way he goes? Or today, the way she goes? So the situation surrounding the writing, the situation presented in the writing, the situation in the writing of that fictitious thesis might be, he's in the Bible, okay? So the situation and the surroundings in that, so he's fine there, but all of a sudden he gets out here to where he's just running down another church. Running down someone else does not build yourself up. Running down another church does not build up your church. That's why when I mention another church, I'm telling you, hey, I'm not just putting them down. I'm just telling you this is what they teach. Now you decide whether they're right or wrong. And to make a decision based on the Bible, not whether I say it, based on the Bible. So be aware of the situation. It could mean there's an agenda there that's twisting the direction they're going and getting you into a conclusion that they didn't say they were going to, but that was really their conclusion.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Yeah, when at first we
Intend
to deceive. There we go. All right, page 45. I think we finished the other page, didn't we? Yes. All right, let's go down a little bit. Clarity. Make sure that the meanings are clear. Watch for qualifying statements. They often, not always, but they often come before a weak argument. I want to say. Well, no, why didn't you say it then? I want to say. Well, say it. Don't tell me what I said this, but what I want to say, well, does that mean what you said before wasn't correct? And it wasn't really what you wanted to say in the first place? Or I'm just saying. To be perfectly honest.
That's the one.
Yeah, I love that one. When they say, well, to be perfectly honest, that automatically tells me, well, you weren't honest before.
Exactly. What's the deal?
You were partially honest, which means you're dishonest. That's like saying it was only 1% lie.
Which part of this is right?
Yeah, which are you on now? That's like,
As it's translated correctly.
yeah, that's the, and like the popes back in the Middle Ages, they had one pope that said that popes are infallible, and this is just what they teach, that the popes are infallible. But then the next guy came along, and the next pope came along and said, oh no, popes are just people. They're not infallible. So the previous pope was a heretic. So he dug him up out of the grave, brought him in, set him in the seat of Peter, the Holy See. He was rotted. They put the crown on his head. It was hanging over because the flesh was falling off. Bones were sticking out. And they put the scepter in his hand and the ring on his finger and had a trial and found him guilty of heresy and threw him out the window of the Vatican, drug him through the streets, and tossed his body into the Tiber River. Well, now, wait a minute. If popes are infallible and popes are fallible, then that pope that's fallible, by saying the other guy was wrong for being infallible, then is he wrong because he's fallible, or is he right because he's fallible? So now you got a whole, now you got a whole kid.
Let's just throw him in the river too.
Never get rid of him. And so I'm just saying, that's why you can't go by what any person says. You have to go by what this says. Yeah, this is the only infallible proofs. This is it, the final authority. Not any person, not a pope, not a pastor, or a preacher, a pope, or a peon, or a punk, or any other number of P's. All right. So when they say to be perfectly honest, that automatically makes me doubt what they're going to say, because they were dishonest before, at least in part. And if you're partially dishonest, you're dishonest. Dr. Wilkins used to say, how many banks do you have to rob before you're considered a bank robber? Just one, right? I just want you to know, okay.
Tell you the truth.
Weren't you already
No.
I don't want you to know this other one over here, but I just want you to know, or to tell you the truth. Well, that means you weren't telling me the truth before, not the whole truth. I'm not saying, well, now wait a minute, you just said it. What do you mean I'm not saying? You just said it. I hear what you're saying. You know what that means? Wah, 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 wah.
Means I ain't listening.
I'm not listening. I heard what you said, but I'm not listening to you. Yeah. Don't confuse me with facts. My mind's already made up. Don't take this the wrong way. Well, now, wait a minute. The statements you just made, I took the way you made them.
I feel your pain, but.
Yeah, let's be frank. Okay, you weren't being frank before? As far as I know.
John.
Huh?
I was being John.
You're being John? Oh, not Frank. You're being John, not. Okay. As far as I know, I'm thinking that, or surely you must believe this conclusion. Yeah, why call me Shirley? Certainly. In addition to signaling, and I need to go up a little bit. There we go. In addition to signaling a weak argument, now these are just general statements. There will be times that a person will say one of these, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people just say that because that's just a common saying. Yeah, they just, they've heard it all their life, to be perfectly honest with you. All right?
Their mouth to air conditioning.
Yeah, so these are just general statements that often come before a weak argument. Doesn't mean that they're lying, but they're weak. In addition to signaling a weak argument, these types of statements also often signal untruth. And they're a good indicator that it's time to start paying attention. When someone says that, well, to be honest, your attention ought to automatically just focus.
Often signal untruth?
Yeah. Untruth. Yep.
Isn't that a lie?
Yep.
Yeah, you can put that in the book if you like.
To tell you the truth could be signaling an untruth. At least a weak argument. All right? So instead of a truth, it's an untruth. And we're going to stop there. We're going to quit a little early tonight. Did you ever do your RRA?
I got it, but not finished.
Work on it. Work on it.
I'm having trouble with it.
What kind of trouble? Page 45, I'm going to write down. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you said you were having trouble. I said, what kind of trouble?
I'm having logic trouble. Not explained it perfectly.
Yeah, I was just wondering in what portion, in the R, or A?
These reasons, I don't know, they send me in so many different directions that I have a hard time.
Yeah.
Coming back to the point, trying to maintain a focus and maintain a thought process,
Okay, then do what it says in this one that we just went through.
Distracted by rabbit trail.
Yeah. List your reasons as direct validation or inferential validation, or steps in the progression between those. On page 43, you can use that back in the RRA too. Categorize your reasons. And you may find out some of those reasons you're going to just throw out. If they're not direct validation of your conclusion, or inferential validation, or connections, Roman numeral 1, A, B, and C, those might be inferential, it might be direct. But just categorize your reasons. Put your raisins in a row, with the biggest one first. Okay?
What is inferential?
It's not a direct statement, but it infers.
Okay.
Okay? You can say that